Artificial intelligence is already revolutionizing how we perform surgeries, design bridges and buildings, and respond to weather-related disasters. But what additional advancements will we see in the near future? Hello, you're listening to Where What If Becomes What's Next from Carnegie Mellon University, where we're exploring what AI means to industries, government, society, and you. Today's episode is the second installment of a two-part series. First, we explored the history of AI, including how it came to be a scientific field of research and the role CMU played in that. In this episode, we look ahead to what's on the horizon for artificial intelligence. As you might remember from Part 1, for thousands of years, societies around the globe have been fascinated by the idea of machines mimicking human intelligence. But it wasn't until the mid-1950s when a group of scientists convened for the Dartmouth Summer Research Project that the term artificial intelligence was coined and solidified as a distinct area of scientific research. Today, AI is mainstream, showing up in our everyday lives as virtual assistants on our smartphones or curating our social media feeds or watch lists on streaming platforms. AI is in operating rooms. Robots are knocking on our doors to deliver packages, or giving paleontologists the opportunity to better understand the locomotion and behaviors of extinct organisms. Recently, OpenAI, known for its programs like ChatGPT and DALL-E, announced it had raised $6.6 billion. Leadership told news outlets the funds would go toward, quote, frontier AI research, increase compute capacity, and continue building tools that help people solve hard problems, unquote. The New York Times reports that OpenAI CEO pitched a grand plan late last year in which there would be high-powered data centers around the world, and AI tech would, quote, flow like electricity. But in the rush to make AI even smarter and answer all our questions, Rachel Mandelbaum hopes AI in the near future will be developed to accept uncertainty, to know what it doesn't know, a fundamental tenet to scientific research. Mandelbaum is a professor in CMU's physics department, focused on cosmology. We had spoken with Mandelbaum in our episode on AI and the cosmos.
Corporations are really actively developing AI in ways that, can have big impacts on society, in use in search engines and ChatGPT and things like that. But what people may be less aware of is that AI needs to be developed further to be used to do fundamental scientific investigations. So, as scientists, what we want to do is rigorously test hypotheses or measure quantities. And we want to do this in a way that involves understanding the uncertainties, not just uncertainties because there's some noise in our images, but the fundamental uncertainties because, our analysis method has some assumptions in it or things like that. And further development of AI so that it works in this, kind of rigorous scientific context is going to be really important for it to reach its full potential in, unlocking discoveries in astronomical data sets. But the thing is that development is not just for science, right? It's driven by science, but then the improvements in AI are going to go everywhere.
Mandelbaum gives the example of using a large language model, something like ChatGPT.
Imagine if it was actually aware of its uncertainties, right? Instead of boldly asserting things that are sometimes just completely false, right? Imagine if it was aware of those uncertainties. So that's the same concept that we scientists want to drive in improvements in AI. But I think improving AI for scientific discovery will actually have, broad societal benefits. And that's one reason why I'm really excited about using AI for astronomy, because it's about more than just the astronomy. Improvements in AI will help in a lot of places.
Improvements in AI could indeed help in a lot of places. AI is also changing disaster response, from enhancing predictive models for weather events to helping first responders make decisions around resource allocation and evacuation routes, to the use of drones to survey damage in areas that become cut off due to floods or wildfires. Aarti Singh is a professor in CMU's machine learning department. She also directs the National Science Foundation's AI Institute for Societal Decision-Making at the university. Singh anticipates that rescue robots will continue to get smarter in the near future.
Our institute has at least 2 members that are from robotics and focused on search and rescue robotics. So there we are actually looking at both decision-making algorithms that can help the robot make more efficient decisions as it's navigating to do the search and rescue operation. But more importantly, also thinking of the robots and drones as a resource and how to allocate those. Different robots have different capabilities. So can we make more effective decisions as to where to send them, depending on, again, the needs of a particular region, both needs based off of how the disaster is unfolding there, but also of the sociocultural factors that may help inform the effectiveness of such robots and drones.
Robin Murphy is a professor of computer science and engineering at Texas A&M University and leads the Texas A&M team in Carnegie Mellon's AI Institute for Societal Decision-Making. She thinks we'll see more water-based robots in the years to come.
Think about the Key Bridge collapse. They were using underwater robots to go in and map and search for victims and do recovery there. I also see where what we see are things that take days and weeks to do get compressed to a couple of hours. That the AI, the machine learning and computer vision models are now getting better. Things are really going to take off, I think.
No matter what the future holds, Professor Singh hopes that in 5 to 10 years, the barriers to adopting AI tools will be lower.
I think this, again, relies so much on the educational efforts, awareness efforts also, but also advancing the understanding at the intersection of human and AI, how they should be leveraging each other, when to delegate the decisions only to humans and when to invoke AI. I think better understanding of that will also lead us to identify scenarios where AI can really be powerful and actually help complement the decisions that the humans are making, maybe removing some of the biases, creating better situational awareness, searching through possible choices more efficiently, and actually making a difference in the society adopting it, provided that the AI is really made human-centric.
The future of AI and creativity could take all sorts of forms. Maybe AI-powered tools will actually watch and then guide you through some of the more basic techniques of, say, cooking, so you can focus on getting creative with flavors. Here's Tom Mitchell, faculty at CMU's Machine Learning Department.
When you're cooking dinner, not only will they give you the next step in the recipe, but they will watch it and they will say, Tom, now it's time to flip the egg. Because they'll have vision as well as the recipe. They'll know the sequence of steps, and they'll have seen enough YouTube videos of cooking that they will be trained to guide you in a much more audio, visual, physical, and mental way. Whereas today, really, systems like GPT are mostly in the mental space.
Dr. Dan Green is a professor and the director of CMU's Entertainment Industry Management program and teaches a class on AI and the future of creativity and entertainment.
We said not only are we going to allow AI, we're going to embrace it and have the students work with AI to create something on the creative side of things and see what would happen with that.
Green says AI has been used to speed up certain parts of the creative process, like generating ideas or cleaning up audio or video. But AI's impacts on creative industries, like music and film and television, are not without challenges and pitfalls, and Green is reluctant to predict where it will be in the future.
We don't know the gravitas of this, just like we did not know how indelible a smartphone would be in our lives, and it is, and it's changed everything we do. It's changed young people, it's changed communication, it's changed safety. It's unbelievable what this possibly could do.
He thinks overall, artists and music labels will have to embrace it because it's not going away. From entertainment to autonomous vehicles. Deva Ramanan, professor at Carnegie Mellon's Robotic Institute and co-director for their Center of Autonomous Vehicle Research, also isn't necessarily making future predictions, but he certainly has a wish list.
I do think if you can modify infrastructure to make self-driving cars more of a first-class citizen, I think that would enable more widespread deployment right now. So for example, if you had AV only lanes, just like something equivalent to like a bus lane. And so now sharing the road with non-AVs is very difficult because you have to kind of guess what they're doing. But then if it's all AVs, maybe they can communicate and kind of broadcast what their intentions are, what their plans are. And the same thing with traffic lights. If traffic lights were able to broadcast their state about whether, certain lanes can go or not go, then that makes it much easier as well.
From AI on our roadways to AI and our bridges. This season, we learned how artificial intelligence can help repair and rebuild America's aging bridges. Whether that's AI sensors and tools that collect and analyze data to help engineers understand a bridge's structural status and state of deterioration, or using AI to model bridges as a predictive tool of where problems might arise. Jim Garrett is Provost and Chief Academic Officer at Carnegie Mellon University and former Head of Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering.
The AI systems of the future, they're going to be superpower tools for designers and for construction managers and for people that monitor and maintain infrastructure. What it will do is help make every human that's involved in the process a much more capable, much more well-informed person in that loop.
Garrett says AI systems will help people make better, faster decisions that are more focused on the specific problem they're troubleshooting.
In the engineering world, you're not going to get an AI system from start to finish, designing, signing the documents, and taking the responsibility for a piece of infrastructure. It's going to involve a human engineer that has been educated and certified and so on. But we're going to be putting really amazing design and analysis and predictive power tools in these people's hands so that they can really do that job much more effectively, I think, and much more rapidly. That's certainly the way I see the future of AI. You will talk to other people that may see it differently.
As we heard on previous episodes, AI algorithms are already designing new drugs and vaccines. AI tools and robots are assisting with a slew of healthcare administrative tasks, such as an AI-powered digital health record system developed by a company called Abridge. Zach Lipton is the company's Chief Technology Officer and Chief Scientist. He's also the Raj Reddy Associate Professor of Machine Learning at Carnegie Mellon University. Lipton says this new AI system reduces the amount of clerical work for providers and gives patients and insurers easier access to key medical information. In the future, he thinks AI can do more to improve the doctor-patient experience.
I think we've taken a big bite out of one of the most painful parts of healthcare administration from the provider standpoint, but I think there's many other parts of their workflow where we could expand this sort of AI layer in healthcare to also tackle some of those downstream tasks, and that they're also going to continue to provide value and save doctors time.
AI-driven diagnostic tools are also sorting through huge quantities of data from images, patient histories, and genetics to detect and predict disease that humans might otherwise miss.
One big factor with using robotics in healthcare is that it definitely does play a assistive role that limits and reduces human labor and the amount of potential for human error and a lot of human-robot interaction.
That's Carmel Majidi. He's a professor of mechanical engineering at Carnegie Mellon University and specializes in what's known as soft robotics, or softbotics, the development of soft, agile, and electronically smart materials.
Now, in terms of next generation applications of robotics, areas that I am a little bit more involved with, we're seeing robotics used in wearable applications. We're seeing it used for prosthetics, for example. And in these cases, we see that advantages of robotics compared to kind of more traditional, say, passive wearable systems is that they can broadly expand the range of functionalities that we can achieve with these assistive devices and technologies. And same goes with using robotics for rehabilitation and also for physical therapy. So, these are systems where, through motors, through sensors, through feedback control, we can achieve basically a broader range of capabilities in terms of the types of motions that a patient can experience and the type of training that they can receive.
Could researchers someday create a soft-bodic human organ, like a beating heart? Majidi thinks it's possible.
In principle, there is potential of using fully synthetic soft robotic systems to replicate some organ functions and some of the kind of the natural capabilities of the human body. An alternative approach, which I find particularly exciting, where Carnegie Mellon is at the forefront, is to develop what are so-called bio-hybrid type material architectures. So not just relying on synthetic soft-bodic material systems alone, but actually blending them or merging them with natural biological tissue. We have quite a number of faculty here at Carnegie Mellon who are pioneers in developing these types of bio-hybrid type systems. A lot of this builds on decades of practices and advancements in tissue engineering, as well as 3D bioprinting.
Pivoting now from robots in clinics and hospitals to the potential health benefits of robots in the home setting. We've learned about social robots and how they're helping older adults experiencing memory loss or loneliness. Startup Intuition Robotics launched its social robot LEQ commercially in March 2022. The device is different from a virtual assistant because it's proactive and engages on a more personal level.
So she doesn't just sit there and wait for the older adult to remember her name or a specific functionality. She can understand the context, what's going on in the room right now, who is the person in front of her.
That's Assaf Gad, VP Strategy and GM for Intuition Robotics. LEQ is in its third generation, and for the 4.0, 5.0 model or beyond, Gad says you can expect LEQ, which is currently only available in English, to support additional languages. They're also exploring how to adapt the social robot to be more culturally responsive to users outside the U.S.
Taking also the character of LEQ and translated it not just by the language, but also with the behavior and the characteristic to other cultures outside of the U.S.
Gad also sees potential in expanding this to meet older adults at, quote, more touch points in their lives.
We started with the homes, but maybe outside of the home as well. Senior living facilities, community centers, definitely when they are hospitalized. And then definitely, spreading over devices and having the presence of LEQ on your smart TV and maybe even on your digital appliance like a smart fridge.
Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we hear from AI innovators about what's next for the ethical implications the field has to grapple with and some possible solutions. That's coming up on Where What If Becomes What's Next from Carnegie Mellon University.
This podcast is brought to you by Carnegie Mellon University. Located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, CMU is a private, international research university, consistently ranked among the top universities in the world. Its trailblazing research is focused on creating, defining, and accelerating the future of artificial intelligence. For more information, please visit ai.cmu.edu.
Welcome back. You're listening to Where What If Becomes What's Next from Carnegie Mellon University. And today, we're talking about the future of artificial intelligence. Earlier in this episode, we heard about a variety of exciting innovations that we could see in AI in the next 5 to 10 years. But as AI becomes more integrated into every aspect of society and our lives, questions have understandably been raised. Here's Marshall Hebert, the Dean of CMU's School of Computer Science and previously head of robotics.
We have ethical considerations in how the systems are used, but also how they are deployed and tested, how the data is acquired, the bias in the data. In terms of replacing human, of course, there's going to be disruptions. It would be naive to think otherwise. But the end result is not so much replacing humans, but it's changing the way humans work.
Which is why Hebert insists that AI tools be designed in a way that is more accessible, so people don't get left behind.
There is an aspect of democratization of AIs and tools that is very important. A lot of the trend in those AI tools is not going toward things that are for more and more specialized users, or users with a higher and higher level of education. It's the other way around, right? That they are going toward tools that are more and more accessible to a larger number. Now, this is an hypothesis. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but it's not completely obvious because of all the technical jargon that surrounds those kind of things. But in the end, I believe that's the direction that it's going.
AI pioneer Dr. Raj Reddy, the first director of CMU's Robotics Institute, says there will be some, quote, speed bumps and unintended consequences created by AI technologies.
We as a society have to create appropriate regulations or the appropriate models so that the damage from such things is as little as we can make it. And at the same time, let the society benefit from the positive aspects of the technology.
Let's take a closer look at some of those unintended consequences and ways people are working to mitigate them, starting with copyright and IP issues. Organizations like OpenAI are facing copyright infringement legal challenges from major news outlets, tech companies, and online creators, saying they did not grant permission for use of their content to train AI systems. Dr. Dan Green says that can be a challenging aspect of this tech, especially when online users are using AI to generate derivative songs or art, and the original artists are not being compensated or their rights are being compromised.
And I think that's the bigger issue of creative control. And we've always had these issues to some extent.
But he also thinks this is where society can help draw the line between what is human-created and what is machine-created.
What you're really touching on is being an advocate for artists. And I think that's where we need to stand as a society. AI can do a lot of things wonderfully. One of them is replicate. They can replicate things, but they can't get into the human mind.
Generative AI has also enabled people to create realistic images, videos, or audio and text. There are pros to this tech, but it can also be used to deceive people, what's known as deep fakes, and it's a big concern when it comes to politics and elections. Ramayya Krishnan is Dean of the Heinz College of Information Systems and Public Policy, and Faculty Director of the Block Center for Technology and Society at Carnegie Mellon University. He suggests a few ways to counter deep fakes. One is watermarks, such as the ones Meta or Google have introduced to try to classify content.
But that's not a silver bullet. We don't have one standard watermark on the content creation side that would allow for a standard way of detecting it and letting customers or consumers or citizens know about the content that they're interacting with as an AI-generated piece of content.
The Industry Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity, known as C2PA, is working on setting standards for watermarking.
When this industry body called C2PA, which is focused on content provenance, was created, it had Microsoft and Adobe, but now Google recently joined the C2PA alliance because I think there's a recognition that there needs to be an industry-wide. This is a private industry-led body, but if all the major players converge around a standard way of establishing provenance, by which I mean not just marking the content, but being able to interrogate what are the inputs that went into it, what's the data that went into it, so that it becomes, that's the content provenance standard that they're hoping to create. So the real test is how do we, on the one hand, protect freedom of expression, which we value. We don't want to shut everything down in ways that, if something is deemed inappropriate. We should have freedom of expression.
Many in the AI community are engaging in conversations with governments around ways to safeguard or regulate AI. Chris Mueller from the International Federation of Robotics says we need regulation.
We need regulation, definitely, but we need the right regulation. And we have to make sure that the things that we need to use are allowed, but that abuse or misuse of things is not allowed. And this is important in two ways. First of all, for all ourselves, we want to be sure that our data is treated carefully. If people are afraid that the data is used by the wrong people or for the wrong cause, then they will refuse to adopt the technology that actually could be beneficial if correctly used. The other thing is, yes, standards. Of course, if we have many countries or regions, economic regions in the world, and from the European perspective, we have a lot of countries in one huge region here, and it's important that we have common standards so that you don't really have to reinvent the wheel just because you want to sell your robot somewhere else now.
Carmel Majidi says collaboration and education will be essential when regulating AI and robots in, for example, healthcare.
And it's not even clear that the FDA and a lot of these agencies really have a complete understanding yet of how they're going to account for AI, machine learning, statistics in terms of their regulatory process for a lot of these devices.
Drew Thurlow, founder for Opening Ceremony Media, thinks we can look globally for inspiration on how to regulate AI.
It's worth looking to see what other governments are doing. The European Union is much further ahead, as they typically are for these kinds of things. The administration is taking it seriously. There's an AI Bill of Rights that this current administration announced last spring. It's toothless, but it was really, really comprehensive about how we want to manage the growth of AI, including making sure that training data doesn't reflect the historical biases that a lot of media currently has, and making sure artists and writers are compensated, and making sure there's training data and the models are transparent so people can kind of police them.
CMU's Tom Mitchell has been hopeful to see what kind of difference the U.S. AI Safety Institute, housed within the National Institute of Standards and Technology, can make. The U.S. government established the consortium in February. The goal? To unite AI stakeholders, including creators, academics, researchers, and civil society groups, around the issue of safe and trustworthy AI.
The idea of the Safety Institute is to help identify what some of these risks could be, how to address them in advance when we can foresee them, but also to set up a mechanism so that we can monitor. And for example, if a deepfake video appears and is widely circulated on social media, then it would be great to have a go-to place that would pick up on those and announce that this one is really fake, not to be trusted, and that can work with the technology companies going forward to help shape new regulations, new self-imposed norms, just kind of steer that process going forward.
For Raj Reddy, AI is, above all else, a tool.
When we wanted to go faster, we built cars and aeroplanes. When we want to solve problems and think faster, we use computers. That's as simple as that. It is a tool for enhancing the mental activities of human beings.
That's a wrap for today's episode and for our first season. Over the course of season 1, we've had a lot of guests from a wide variety of fields, and we want to thank them for sharing their time and insights on artificial intelligence. And thanks to you for listening and for all your support. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed season 1 of our show, please rate and review us on your favorite podcast site and share with friends. Be sure to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode of season 2. We'll keep you posted about season 2 on our website at ai.cmu.edu/podcast. You've been listening to Where What If Becomes What's Next from Carnegie Mellon University, where we are exploring what AI means to industries, government, society, and you. Stay tuned and stay curious.